Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of Hysterics, Gage. This makes sense. My name's Hysterics, and this is my Gage. It's an item in League of Legends. How smart is that as wordplay? I've always wanted to use it in some way, and now finally, this is my chance. Although I will say, I need to Google first. HySterak's Gage. Gage in Australian. Is it with a U? Gage versus the G-A-U-G-E. Gage is a variant spelling of gauge, yeah, which is a noun. Right, I'm just saying the same word twice. G-A-U-G-E, I think. I think G-A-G-E is alternative American spelling. Anyway, it will be spelt American because that's the item. If you didn't get that already, I'm just annoyed there's no U. And to tangent away from my tangent, there's a reason I'm here talking to you, and it's just me for now. League of Legends is in a crazy state, but I think there's always going to be someone who says that regardless, right? It's a great way for me to get my feelings out on the game, but also get opinions of other people in to talk a little bit about what's happening in other regions and maybe more so their feelings on the game, even if it's just solo queue, right? It'll be a great way for people to connect because I think at the moment in the podcast community for League of Legends, there's a lot of like maybe higher diamond and above podcasters talking about the game. And there's no one who's like super average Joe, right? Like not unless they're super casual. I am someone who I would say is not casual. I'm quite competitive. I want to really climb the ranks and get better at the game, but I've been stuck in gold, you know, like high gold for quite a while now. Dude, I placed gold in like season 3 and it's season what, 12 or 13 now? And dude, I'm silver 1 at the moment trying to get back into gold. Like it's a sad reality. And that's why I think you should be able to relate to me. I am your average Joe. I am the league player base's mediocre talent. Like, if you look at the percentages in pretty much all servers as to where everyone is, the majority will be silver/gold, depending on the server. So, I definitely fill out that perfect middle ground for the majority of fans out there. And especially with my close relation to esports, I think I'm someone who has my nose to the grindstone, nose to the ground, ear to the grindstone. My nose and ears are somewhere, all right? They can hear things. They can smell things. And that's why this is the perfect place for me to set up. We will have guests on the show in following weeks, but I wanted to gauge interest, which I did not do on purpose, I'm sorry, and see who we can get on the future shows as well, just to talk about state of the game again, and maybe things like LPL with me, LCK, you know, even LEC, LCS, if we can get some big kids on the broadcast too. But for today, I have a simple message for you all, and one thing that needs to be resolved, apart from OCE server, man. That's a different day. That's too long. That's too long for the, I guess, half an hour I wanted this podcast to go for. My message today is this, that the state of the game is pretty rough. And I'm sure a lot of you agree with me. I'm sure a lot of you are sitting out there thinking that, man, League of Legends is in a pretty rough state. And there's a lot of things right now, right? Like, not only are there client bugs, not only are there things like, I don't know if you guys are still getting this, where you'll go into Champ Select and you'll stay in Champ Select for a bit, and then sometimes you won't even to load into game. I've had times where I'll go to a black screen and I won't even get onto Summoner's Rift. I'll then relog, I'll try again, doesn't work, and then I'll relog, and then I'll say I got an AFK thing or like a levers penalty because I didn't load into the game. AFK warnings these days are super low. Like, I don't know if you guys have sat in the fountain recently. Dude, I can't remember where it was. I think I was trying to level up a Smurf. Gold player leveling up a Smurf, I know. But I was sitting on the fountain for like, I think 20 seconds, 25 seconds without moving. And I got an AFK warning. I remember the game giving you an AFK warning after like a minute and a half or something. It was much longer. But these days, AFK warnings are so short. And it doesn't make sense when, you know, sometimes people are going to get distracted. It might be very, very minimal, but it's still going to happen. I think kind of showing how out of touch they are. You know, as well, we noticed that in recent Riot videos, they came out with things like, oh, here's all the skins coming through, but ranked system not being addressed. I have a huge issue with MMR where I was sitting 20 wins above losses in the last split, the last year, and I was getting 13 for a win and like 17, 18 for a loss in Gold 3, when I was also carrying games, when I was also, you know, doing really, really well, and I don't feel like I was being rewarded for it. So, You know, I think that's fair to say that, like, even though people can come out and be like, oh, your MMR was like this because of your, you know, blue side win rate was bad, and red side, apparently, I think LS mentioned to me once that there's actually a thing where blue side win rate matters more, and it's actually harder to win on blue side in solo queue. But anyway, I don't know the statistics about that one. Doesn't matter. Point being that I feel like I was done pretty dirty last year. And with all those games that I was carrying, I don't feel like my KDA came into it and affected my score at all. If you've seen Valorant, you know that Valorant gives you a less harsh defeat when you do well. If you top frag in Valorant, when you lose, you'll notice you actually only lose like 6 or 7, whatever RR is in the game. So because you've done well, you get rewarded. In League of Legends, I recently played a Graves game, so I'm learning jungle. And I've been playing Graves a hell of a lot. Like, I'm getting pretty good at him. I feel like I've just been able to, like, optimize clears, really establish, like, what lanes I can path into. You know, I'm a jungler without CC, so I need to kind of play around lanes with hard crowd control, or I'm not going to be able to get much done unless there's an over push and yada, yada, yada. And in recent games with Graves, I've been getting KDAs, like, I got a victory the other day, 17, 6, and 12, right? I was definitely carry jungle. I've still been getting games like 5, 3, and 6, like I'm doing decently enough. I had this defeat the other day where I went 16, 6, and 6 because we had a lever. 4 versus 5 for about 15 minutes. Our mid lane Nico left. And I didn't surrender because I'm like, okay, we can win. Team ran it down a little bit and went outside of the base when we could have just turtled the whole time and waited for their you know, that pick that sets up for Baron and long death timers at that point in the game. Didn't happen. We lost. And then there's a lever's penalty, as in, sorry, a lever's like, what do you call it? Mitigation, loss mitigation. And I still lost 6 LP. So as a 16, 6, and 6 Graves in the jungle in Silver 1, which is actually 2 divisions below my rank from last split, I still lost 6 LP. There was no, like, the penalty didn't extend to, okay, you did so well, it's only 2 LP or something like that, right? I lost the full brunt, the same as pretty much everyone else, depending on their MMR, but I still lost a significant amount, I would say. Like 6 LP is still something for someone who's trying to climb. Now, I need to add on that obviously I want to improve in skill. It shouldn't just be about climbing. I should be focusing on other things, but the point still stands. Like, I feel like the principle's strong enough where I was robbed and it wasn't fair. And I feel like it's very out of touch where there's things that are being implemented in Valorant that aren't being implemented in League of Legends, like that loss mitigation or even further mitigation due to skill. That's what sucks so much. You do so well, you have 15k, right? So this is my gold at the end of the game. I had 15k total gold. 50,000 was our team. So what is that? That is 15, 30, 45, extra 5. So a little bit under, it'd be like 31, 32%, no? So 31, 32% of my team's gold, total gold, right? I had a high minion score, like I had almost 200 CS at, how long did the game go for? 27 minutes. And I was 16, 6, and 6 with almost a full build. Level 16, right? Highest level in my team. And on the enemy team, there was only one player had a positive KDA and 2 who drawed. Like 3 and 3, 4 and 4. And on the enemy team, the highest gold score that they had in total was 12,500. So 3,000 less than me. And still I was not given any reward for performing the best out of those other 9 people. And that's what irks me the most. Is you're not rewarded in this game. And I think it extends beyond that, right? Like, this is just in the competitive side of things, where I feel like saying the word Hardstuck is ridiculous. Even as a commentator, I know that being Hardstuck is not a thing. You can always get out. There is always a way, right? Like, I need to find a duo who I can play towards in mid, like someone I can coordinate with and get on comms, and communication will help me as a jungler, or maybe someone to coach me. I need to look at more videos, Graves pathing, so on and so forth. Yes, I can improve my game, but if I'm always being gated when, at the moment, as a Silver 1 player, I am losing like 16, 17 LP again and gaining like 14, 15. This season makes a little bit more sense, I guess, because I think I'm neck and neck with my win-loss record so far. But how can I source that improvement if I'm like if I'm gated by the system? Where's the motivation going to come from? It's so saddening to sit there and just look and be like, well, I'm going neck and neck, but like I'm going further down than I am up. If I was going neck and neck with my win-loss ratio, shouldn't I be staying around the same level? I don't think I am. I go to it right now. I'm like 35 LP. When I got into Silver 1 and I got a couple of wins under the board, like, and when I started evening out, I think it was like 60, 70. So, yeah, you could argue like 40 LP the difference, but I just... It tilts me quite a lot, and I think that's only one of the issues with competitive scene. I know there's been a lot of videos coming out recently with, you know, a lot of the complaints. Let's be real. This is, I think, some of the most complaints we've had in a long while, if not forever. Even with, like, other game modes coming through, things outside of competitive. I mean, like, there hasn't been a new game mode coming through for a very long time. A new map as well. Champion releases were very by the few in the last year compared to other years. Like, skin releases were insane. If I go to release date, right, and we go through as to all of them, right, released last year, so far, no. Warring Kingdoms Trinity was not released last year. Dude, I got that in 2016. What do you mean released 2023? I think these are skins that have come out. This is owned. I'm not in the shop. All right, hang on. Bear with me. Because we know there's a lot of skins. You guys know how many skins there were. Like, I will go to my shop, and you can do this at home as well. Do this at home as well, right? If I go to release date, right, and it's just going to show me others. Like, I'm pretty sure the Spirit Blossoms came out. I think the Fright Night came through, and Halloween. The King skins, the Zenith skins, more Star Guardians added in, Star Nemesis added in as well. We had the Battle Boss, but that came with Belvest, so it makes sense. The Snow Moon was there. Ocean Song, which was like another beach skin. High Noon added a little bit more and added texture as well. We also had like an individual Gangplank skin. Sea Dog Yasuo, I didn't even know existed. Sonar Eclipse Sejuani. I know these skins came out last year. There's Arcana Ari, Nunu and B-Lump, the Heimerstinger, Baziggs, like... And there's Orbiana, like there's all these champions that I know came out last year with their skin line. And you look at all of that, all the skins that came through. And I think from there it's easy to see that like the priorities may be in the wrong place. I could look at champions. I know there were 5 champions released in 2022, so maybe that argument's not as strong or valid. Zeri, Renata, Belveth, Neela, and Cassante all came out during last year, but I just think with the way the game is, right? I mean, even the bugs that still exist, like the Anivia egg bug. If anyone saw Vandal's recent video, the one where Anivia, just as a particle that can't be killed, bugs out and the egg stays there holding minion waves, which is like, yeah, it's game breaking for the integrity of the game. There's another one as well where like Akshan, I saw recently, goes to like 3 FPS around a pillar because he was black shielded with a Camille ulti, goes to the edge of the realm, and then just glitches out, but still can rotate around that same pillar, but it's just very hard to hit because it looks like he's lagging. It's crazy. And so there's a lot in the game that obviously needs to be fixed, but I think the priority has been spoken about by so many bigger influencers than me. You know, I don't need to sit here or during this whole podcast and tell you what's wrong with the game. I'm sure you guys have got your own opinion, and some of them you'll agree with, some of you'll disagree. I'll be curious to see, you know, what kind of is breaking the game for you guys right now. And if you're listening, you know, feel free to let me know in the comments below, wherever you are. I think we're going to put this on Spotify, so you probably can't comment there, but YouTube, definitely. It's a game right now that I'm maybe not enjoying playing as much as I could. I don't know if that's because I'm playing solo in ranked. Like, I'm consistently playing, you know, jungle solo. And it can be quite hard considering that, you know, junglers not only take the blame, but junglers also can define the game too. And if there's a jungle diff, it's very, very well known to the team because I think it's one of the most obvious roles to have a diff in. Especially when, again, it controls the state of the game. So, yeah, learning a new role right now is hard, but I think what's more hard is the fact that I don't feel like I'm getting rewarded for my great play, and I feel like I'm getting punished for a loss, even if it's not directly my fault, right? You know, we're also in a state of the meta where, okay, if I didn't influence mid enough, if mid just hard insta a Cassidon in lane, or even hell, like whoever uses, you know, Rod of Ages and, you know, tier at the moment, which is Rise, the game just feels over. It feels hard to really stop the flow of the game. Even if you're someone like scaling like Graves or even a Kindred, right? Like, you get towards late game and, okay, level 16 Cassidon and boop, you're done. What do? Nothing. That's the answer. That is the answer. Absolutely nothing. So yeah, you can tell that I'm pretty annoyed with solo queue. And that I feel, you know, pretty hopeless about it. I'm struggling to find the motivation to get up to gold. Like, I have a friend that wants a duo. He's gotten into plat, and it's like, okay, I need to get to gold. And gold shouldn't be that hard for me, but it is just like the motivational aspect of getting back there and then continuing the climb. And League of Legends not being fun, you know, climbing up and even playing a new role. Like, I used to love playing a new role and get really excited for it. And I still had those feelings maybe towards the start of the season, but 1 or 2 games in, I'm like, oh man, okay. You know, OC client not helping because people are toxic and don't really get banned for it. There's no repercussions, or at least there's not as much maybe compared to other servers. I think this year so far, there has been a lot more reporting, I guess, taken seriously and repercussions added into the client. Like, I am getting more messages, but yeah, it's really hard to stay motivated. And I'm sure for a lot of you out there as well, the game feels like, you know, maybe it's not as fresh. And it's also the fact that it's hard to keep up with, that these changes come through and you're like, oh man, okay, I have to adapt to a slightly new system. But there's other things that are just ridiculous, like mid lane being so broken, or 80 carries. Like, dude, why does it feel like their experience is so great right now? And why does it feel like they are going to be busted in the next patch when there is like another massive patch coming through after we just went through preseason? I mean, that's another thing. You guys know that this is a perfect point to bring this in. Why is 13.2 looking like a giga patch when we just went through preseason and we just started a new year? And we went through jungle changes, and we went through, you know, Chemtech being re-added, and we went through new items, and it's adapting to the new game again, and then we have to read paragraphs again to understand where League of Legends is going next. As a commentator, I need to know this stuff. I need to enter, you know, the LPL broadcast and fully understand what people are building, maybe why people are building it, you know, or lead on my color caster a bit, right? Because I'm the yelly man. If anyone doesn't know what play-by-play is, it's like I yell at the team fights. The color caster is the analyst, the nerd. No, I do a lot of studying. I'm also a nerd. They're the person that helps me out. And, you know, I feel for them, especially knowing, like, the in-depth nature of some of those items. It's really, really hard. And, you know, with these changes coming as well, it's like, God, now here we go again. Even playing solo queue, it's like, what does this item do? Dude, I still, like, I understand Radiant Virtue, and I understand Jack Show, the protein shake, as Rusty would call it, but, man, I'm still like, okay, do I know timings for these items? Do I know when Jack Show actually procs? Well, I know it gets to 8 then procs, but is it instant? Is it on a timer? I've still got to learn that. Like, I've read that, but I won't absorb that knowledge until I play against it more, until I play with the item more. I need to put in a lot of legwork. I feel sorry for the people that can't do that. I feel sorry for the people that, you know, want to enjoy League of Legends but don't have the man hours to put in. I think Tyler One said it on a clip the other day where it's like the people that can play 1, 2, or 3 games, you know, like, well, I mean, he didn't say this specifically. He's talking more about role selection and how picking a role and getting your desired role is kind of scuffed at the moment, which I guess is another thing. But for me, my point on top of that is the people that play casually. Imagine coming into the game and being like, dude, I don't have the time to read all these new items. Like, I can get into a game, I can somewhat understand it. But with the depth that League of Legends is providing right now, it's a lot to absorb and then retain that information. That's what I struggle with a lot, and that's what stresses me out. Because for me, learning League of Legends is a career, right? I want to learn it so I become a better caster, so I can, you know, hopefully get to international soon enough and, like, impress everyone, make the audience feel like I know what I'm talking about, all that kind of stuff. That's what you go through. And when all this stuff is added in, when you feel out of touch with the game that you're commentating, you're also going to feel out of touch with the audience because you're like, well, I'm not confident in this. And it's all a big rotation for me. You know, I don't feel confident sometimes in the casting, which makes me not feel confident in the game, which then playing the game, I don't feel confident in what I'm doing, and then I feel low, you know, I'm low elo, I'm gold, like, I want to be better at the game, I put in the man hours, but I don't improve, so therefore, like, maybe my casting doesn't improve, so it's a massive circle, and it's kind of like a vicious cycle, so, yeah, I'm hoping the game state improves in the sense of, you know, maybe there does need to be some balancing with the items towards mid. I don't think champion changes in 13.2 is worth. I think tier needs to be changed around. I think we need to see some more balancing with items and maybe a bit more diversity come back into mid. Because right now, you know what's coming. It's a bit stagnant, the meta. You watch any pro play, you know what's going to be picked. Even in solo queue, guys, you know, like, if you're not banning Mundo, there's a 50% chance Mundo's coming. If you're not banning Mordekaiser, probably Mordekaiser. If Hecarim's open, there's probably a Hecarim. I'm a Graves player. What am I saying? Like, Graves will probably be picked. Like, you kind of know what's coming right now. And so, yeah, that also makes it less enjoyable. But maybe I'm just a whinger. Maybe I'm spitting irrelevant knowledge. But at least I could give you my gauge in the first episode. And you know, in future, when we have some guests on here as well, we can kind of talk about their solo queue experience and what they think about the state of the game. And obviously that will change as we go through the weeks and like patches come out. It'll be a very different state, but it'll be a nice insight into how people are going, you know, with their League of Legends, their solo queue. And maybe we'll throw some of the competitive talk in another podcast. I haven't decided yet. That's the beauty of podcasts, man. Sometimes you make it up as you go along. You have a general structure, and then you take a right turn, and look at where you are now. So we'll see. Maybe diverting different people to esports content rather than being here in the one podcast makes it easy to listen to. But nice little short burst, hopefully. Get a little bit longer with extra guests. That'd be the dream. Let me know how you're going with your solo queue down below. It's the start of a season, and I understand that for some people, like, they might not have played enough yet. I've played about 40, 41 games. I don't feel like I am where I truly should be, but, you know, maybe I am Hardstuck. Maybe I'm just wrong. So I'd be curious to see what everyone else is like as I drink my wine. And I will enjoy the rest of the night. Not playing any League, maybe just taking a bit of a break and hoping that your games go a lot better than mine have been recently. So it'll be bye for now, but not forever. And thank you for listening to Hysterics Gage.